Hey everyone, welcome to March's First Friday with AMEREN on how engineers impact energy efficiency. So if you look at the bottom at the handouts tab, we do have the handouts uploaded, so you can view those here, or as always, you can go to our website. The handouts and the quiz are both posted. I'd really appreciate it if you guys could complete the quiz by at least Monday, and I'll get those PDHs out to you guys on Tuesday. I want to thank everyone who completed the survey that we sent out with those 3 questions. I know the AMEREN guys are planning on addressing those questions, and then if you guys have any additional questions, you can type them in the question box, and I'll read those at the end. I think that's all, so I'll go ahead and turn things over to Chad and John.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting us to join you today to talk about the AMEREN Energy Efficiency Program. The title there, again, how engineers impact energy efficiency, the relationship between utility incentives and results. My name is Chad Whitehead. I have a CEM. I'm the Energy Advisor for Territory 1, and you'll see a map later to kind of get some geographical reference for the program. Just to give you a quick snippet of my background, I was an electrician for 11 years, and then I went on to teach some electrical code update classes, and then I've been doing this here for the last six years this month. So that's the background that I have here as far as the program is concerned. It is in my job, it's very, very cool. I get to talk to a lot of different people, and I got to thinking about this as I prepared the presentation. And so in like the last 2 months here or so, I've been out to teach some Ohm's law and some natural electrical code and conduit bending to a manufacturer, which isn't always a typical part of my job. It's just some other stuff that I do. I spoke to a 5th grade science class to describe electricity. Yesterday, John and I went to a hospitality class at Bradley University. We've been there. We decided that we were told there 7 years in a row now that we had been there to talk to them and just to inform them about the incentives available within that hospitality realm. And then today I'm here to talk to you about that, again, that relationship of the incentives and engineers. And I think this is probably the second time that I've talked to some of you, maybe because John and I went down to Bloomington to speak to one of the monthly meetings. But what I wanted to do today was just kind of talk about, we can get the slide to advance. While we figure out how to advance the slide. I wanted to give a little bit different perspective about the program in a sense that not so much all of the details and the nuts and bolts, but just again talk about the relationship between professional engineers and how they can relate to the program.
Ariana, we seem to have some trouble with advancing the slides. I'm not sure what's... There we go.
There we go. All right. So I like this picture because sometimes all the details and everything about the program seem to get in the way of just understanding how things work together. And then the other part about this picture, it's kind of funny how water, in a relationship to water, seems to find its place as an analogy when I describe the program. Click me. And then you'll have this type of a scenario where some people are going to try and be energy efficient and drink from the fire hose regardless of what you tell them or how you try to help them. And so that sets us up for what we're going to talk about as far as our agenda today. Again, I just talk about the inspiration for why I want to talk about the relationship, a Venn diagram to describe that relationship, customer collaboration, and then John's going to jump here at the end to talk about the program, and then we'll work on questions as we go along. So if you look at this cartoon, and we think about energy efficiency, this is part of my background as with a degree in industrial technology and lean. You go to your customer, and some are going to say it's half full, some will say it's half empty, and then ultimately, from an energy efficiency standpoint, we have to try to understand why is your cup twice as big as it needs to be. And so when we talk about lights or heating and cooling or motors, pumping, whatever that may be, from an efficiency standpoint, we're trying to get to right sizing our customers' equipment.
All right.
We're having a delay here trying to go to our next slide. When the next slide comes up, it's going to be a picture of your Illinois Society of Professional Engineers logo. And I went there to do a little research to understand the scope of the membership. And it talks about licensed professional engineers, licensed structural engineers, licensed land surveyors, engineering interns, graduate engineers, and engineering students. And I thought that was important because understanding what you do on a daily basis and how you interact with your customers was as important to reaching out to the program as it was to tell you that we pay 45 cents per watt reduced, or we pay 8 cents per kilowatt hour saved on a custom application, and those sorts of things. I actually, there was a land, and I did as a main point of contact for one of my projects several years ago. The land surveyor was actually my main point of contact initially until they got the project up and running. So I thought that was pretty interesting that you guys have land surveyors as part of your group. The company that I actually work for is called GDS Associates, and we've had several interns, engineering interns, come up through our ranks and are now full-time employees. So again, to be able to share that experience with the interns and just promote your profession is a good thing. So just trying to describe your piece of the puzzle. We're still having some difficulties here trying to get our slides to advance. One other aspect about kind of going back to our cup that's twice as big as it should be. I had an engineering friend that talks about right to left thinking, or essentially beginning with the end in mind. If you think about a facilities planning environment or design, you have a product that you're going to kick out the door at the end, but you have to work backwards from that product to design your system. And so I think right to left thinking is kind of an appropriate methodology to think about. We typically in the past, when we described barriers that our customers would face, we'd have 6 questions where we have 6 different scenarios. I'm going to read these off because you obviously can't see the text yet, but I'm going to read these questions off, and then I'll hopefully we'll get to the Venn diagram portion and be able to describe it visually. But one question is a typical call from a customer might be, I heard you have some rebates. What does that mean? And that might be even a question from some of you as engineers working for your firms. Your customer brings up the fact that there's an incentive, and you need to understand what that is. 2, customers will call and they'll just talk about how light bulbs may be too expensive, equipment's just plain too expensive to pursue to become energy efficient. Third question or point is that they would say that their staff they do not have that skill set within their staff, so they may not be able to afford or be a large enough company to have an engineer on staff. Fourth point, they have to ask for capital, and because they're not confident in a project, they know that they wouldn't get the capital to proceed with that project. The fifth one, I barely have time. I call it the fireman scenario. They're typically too busy putting out fires and can't pursue energy efficiency. And then the last one, last barrier is they just can't tell if they're saving any energy. So if you think about those 6 questions I just posed, or statements I posed, they would be the barriers, and there would be that 6 outside circles of a Venn diagram, and in the middle of that Venn diagram, the relationship, in our case, is going to be the AMEREN, Illinois Energy Efficiency Program. And I would take those 6 scenarios and describe them as lack of knowledge, lack of buy-in from management, lack of money, lack of confidence in the savings, lack of time, and lack of staff. And where each of those would intersect, there's a solution. And that's where professional engineers and your membership comes in.
There we go. Okay. Got it.
Hey, Chad, do you guys want me to maybe take over with the slideshow if you guys have issues anymore?
I think we just got it
I'd
fixed.
be happy.
So. Nope, thank you. I think we got it fixed.
All right, just let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Go to the Venn diagram. Hi. So those are the 6 points I alluded to that we used to talk about. And then here's the Venn diagram ultimately that summarizes those statements or questions. Again, the barriers on the outside: lack of knowledge, lack of buy-in, lack of money, lack of confidence in the savings, lack of time, lack of staff. And then the green circle in the middle is the energy efficiency program, and the overlap is where the solutions are, and ultimately where, again, you guys come into play. First one I want to talk about is this lack of knowledge. Engineers typically come in here, and they're able to develop and provide energy models if that's something that's needed for a customer. If you're doing a new building, they can go through and provide the design specs. They can address the energy code as it's being designed, so equipment is designed or sized properly for the space according to the energy code. And then I asked Ray, I put down here too, is another thing that generally is something that's pervasive throughout the process, but it's something I think the engineers understand more and can help, again, bring that knowledge to the table when a customer is trying to do a project. On our website, just real quick, there's on the left-hand side, you see the green boxes and that plan your project at the top. And this is just maybe a useful spot for you to communicate with your customer or to understand from a high level how your interaction with the customer may work. They can go look at this, or you can visit with them in a meeting and go through this and use that plan your project tab. There's a facility assessment wizard, goes through square footage, sector type, whether industrial or commercial, and then even specific industrial types, whether it's chemical or something of that nature. There's a lighting calculator on there, so you can put in some different wattages, hours of operation, and utility rates, and come up with a pretty decent dollar annual savings. There's also a couple of links for Energy Star Portfolio Manager and some other interesting tools right there that's on the website. So this is a spot where you may want to be familiar with and use as a tool to interact with that relationship with your customer. Lack of buy-in from the management. So the AMEREN, Illinois, the program, we have a business symposium every year. I would encourage you as a customer, if you can, if you're in the AMEREN territory, to attend that. We have vendors and tabletop displays, so you can check out some technology. And there's also a whole set of breakout sessions to maybe learn something about a different area that you don't always work in. It's going to be, the symposium this year is going to be on October 24th in Springfield, Illinois. And if you're not on the mailing list or if you're not a program ally, I would check the website every so often, which is AMERENIllinoisSavings.com, and eventually we'll have a banner ad that go up there that's going to promote the symposium. But the other cool thing about the symposium is if you work with your customers and build that relationship to build buy-in for the management, it's a good place for them to come and learn in a sort of a neutral environment. They can explore and ask questions about whatever is there and available that may pertain to their process or their building or business. And then they also receive a coupon that's worth an extra 15% on a project. Just this week was our deadline for the symposium, and I had several customers turn in projects, and one of them, the incentive was even large enough to max the coupon out at $15,000. So it can be a pretty good way to interact with your customer. Next, circle and barrier is lack of money. So obviously we have program incentives. And again, I didn't want to bury anybody with all the details in our 4-page list of incentives and that sort of thing, let alone our applications, which can be comprehensive, and so they can get a little tedious. But there's money available, and if we do things in the right order, as far as developing it, making the application, and following those details for whether or not something needs pre-approval. It's a fairly low hurdle once you get into the process to receive incentives to lower payback and those sorts of things for your customers. This year, if you go to our website, once you get into our website, into the business section, and there's a explore incentives section, and these are all the links to all of our various applications. And I just put it out there because this is where a lot of times over the phone or something, if we're talking to people, this is where we're going to direct them to find those applications. So I just wanted to put that up there real quick. Here's a lack of confidence in the savings. Again, whether it's you and a new technology or your customer and the technology, we have webinar training. We have a power lunch webinar. I think every 2 weeks now is what we have it, or every 3 weeks. John's telling me, it's a once a month scenario. So we have it once a month. But it's good to get on that mailing list. 2 weeks ago, I think we did wastewater treatment plants. And the previous month was a high temperature ventilation system for warehouses, I think is what it was. So there's various topics, and again, we call it the power lunch because it's only a half an hour long. So it's a good short session to either direct your customers to or yourself to jump in there. This is from our webpage. These are the various categories of the archived webinars that you can check out. You don't actually have to sit through these webinars. You can go in there and you have the option to get the PowerPoint and just go through the PowerPoint or watch the webinar. Another barrier, lack of time. We have energy advisors listed there. I talked about the map earlier. This is our map. This is the AMEREN territory, and there's 7 energy advisors. I have territory number 1, Peoria, and then to the northwest of Peoria, Galesburg, Kewanee, Macomb, Monmouth, all that direction. But we're available to go and talk to customers. We can talk to customers. If you tell customers to call us and schedule that visit, we can do joint visits. We're here to help answer questions and facilitate the process in whatever way we can do that. Lack of staff, the final barrier here in our Venn diagram. We have one application that we put out annually. It's called a staffing grant, and it's there to help offset the costs for a customer for project management of project or projects, and the incentive is based on savings from a project or projects. We have we have some case studies on our website, and I would point you to a Dominican Sisters case study. So it was a convent, and they needed a new boiler system and steam traps, and that in a whole sort of overhaul that heating process, boilers for their convent. And they didn't have the expertise, obviously, because they're a convent. They didn't have an engineer on staff. So the program ally ultimately helped them submit an application for the staffing grant and offset some of that cost to facilitate and be project managers after they also received a custom incentive for this project. So it turned out good, and it's a way to offset the lack of staff. Again, back to the total diagram. I try to tell program allies or people that work with customers, if you understand this relationship with each of these barriers, and you probably know your customers and which of these barriers they have. They may have one of them, they may have all of them, but you can also have a ready-made answer for your specific expertise, HVAC, electrical, whatever it may be that associates and relates to an incentive that you can help them with. So understanding this is sort of a roadmap for how you can plug in, and again, your integral, your skills to understand and convey savings from process improvement and equipment that can be upgraded. We appreciate those efforts very much. And maybe there's a barrier here, you're not sure how you can address that. Give us a call, and I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody about how we think you can help a customer. I think at the end here, some of the questions on the surveys sort of relate to some of those things, and we'll cover some of those. And I think that, again, it's a good two-way street to develop relationships and achieve energy efficiency. Customer collaboration. Again, this is part of my industrial technology background, but collaboration is one of my favorite words, and I would say competition makes us faster, collaboration makes us better. So whether that's the program collaborating with you and you with the customer, whichever way that is, any of that collaboration, I think, just serves to promote and develop better projects, more savings, and quicker, and be able to implement them over time. If anyone's ever heard of a Kaizen event, Energy Star Treasure Hunt, this comes from Toyota essentially, but Energy Star's jumped in there and they've written a document. This is a PDF. You can find it out there. And I guess I would offer this to anything that we mention or show here. We could probably send out or get to Ariana to send out to the group in an email afterwards. But this Energy Star Treasure Hunt can be as complicated or as simple as you want it to be. Generally, within this written protocol from Energy Star, it's a 3-day event. I was fortunate enough to hear back in November to participate in an Energy Star Treasure Hunt with OSF Healthcare in Bloomington at their St. Joseph facility. And they actually had 2 gentlemen from Bristol Myers Squibb that came in. We had some people from the ASHI and the SITCHI chapters, which are healthcare associations, to join in. And essentially, you go and you do a walkthrough and come up with some ideas for savings, and come back and then quantify those opportunities. We wound up with 8 areas of improvement, which was totaled to an impressive $200,000 worth of annual savings that had less than a 1-year payback. And so we accomplished that. There was roughly 20 of us, maybe not quite 20 of us, on 2 different teams with local personnel and then the other personnel that jumped in that were invited to find $200,000. So it was pretty impressive. We also did a subsequent treasure hunt at Holy Family in Monmouth, Illinois, much smaller facility, probably a fifth of the size. But we were able to identify, I think it was about $90,000 worth of savings there that were under a year payback. So it can be a pretty powerful customer collaboration event. And again, maybe you want to do this with the customer. Let us know. We can jump in there to help make that connection back to the program and the incentives. I teach a couple BOC, building operator certification classes, more on the electrical side because of my background. This is a good good session, a good certification. It's there's BOC 1 and BOC 2. I'll go to my next slide here. It's got more details. And we're having one here that's going to start in March, looks like. But the thing about here, again, it's customer collaboration. There is a small cost that's associated here, but if you have an educated customer, if the staff that you deal with at your customer sites on a regular basis understands energy efficiency, it's just a much easier conversation for you to explain what your services can provide in the way of design and savings. This is sponsored by the Midwest MEA, the Midwest Energy Efficiency Alliance. Another resource, as a certified energy manager through the Association of Energy Engineers, it seems that whenever I see people's credentials on their business cards, there are lots of professional engineers that are also CENs. So our Central Illinois chapter, we're sponsoring a CEM training it's a pretty significant discount in Bloomington starting March 13th. But just wanted to put this out there again. If you have a customer or yourself, there's some local or regional avenues of training available. This particular picture, our chapter, we went down to Champaign, Illinois, to tour the microgrid, the AMEREN microgrid. So that was a very, very cool experience and an opportunity to check out what they have going on there. Pretty cool project. And again, this is just specific dates and times for the CEM training here coming up this month. Again, at reduced cost, we opened up the early bird special. I think is open until we fill out our class. So you could probably get that for $1,895 there, $1,895 if you were interested. One last thing, just kind of a tip and something I've been working on that seems to be a little bit successful. This is from the AEE website, but down in the lower left-hand corner there's a video about net present value, and the link for this particular section of the web page is right there at the bottom. But describing your projects as an investment in the form of net present value versus kilowatt hours saved or BTUs or the normal jargon that we would talk about and use to quantify a project, to kind of get to a C-suite level, C-suite scenario where they just want to see just the facts, ma'am type of scenario to describe your project as a net present value investment. Seems to be working here for me pretty well, lately as a explanation to a customer. One other resource here is Mark Jewell. He's got a book out there called Selling Energy. You check him out on LinkedIn. He has a blog every couple of weeks or so that talks about different scenarios on how to sell an energy efficiency project. But again, this is something that you can point your customers to, or you can go to yourself again for some more collaboration. I'm going to. That's a good graphic. This is my mantra. I tell everybody this. John's tired of hearing it, but it's ATQ DTM. Stands for ask the question and do the math. So when it comes to your projects, that's kind of how it starts for me. And we're not going to take questions. We're going to give at the end. And I'm going to switch this over to John Bentema. Let him talk about his section of the presentation.
All right, thanks, Chad, and good afternoon, everyone. Chad kind of hit on a lot of interesting points there, and what I'm going to do is maybe give you a high level view of the AMEREN Illinois Energy Efficiency Program. We won't go into real great details about incentives, but just to give you an idea of how our program works and how you can go about getting incentives for your own companies or maybe a customer you might be working with. So for those of you, and I noticed in some of the questions that we received back, is a lot of you haven't heard about our program, and we're sorry for that, because we'd really like to help you guys reduce your energy costs. But our program got started in June of 2008, where we are a state-mandated program. The state of Illinois mandated that AMEREN, Nicor, ComEd, People's Gas, Mid-American, all utility companies throughout the state of Illinois were to offer their residential and non-residential customers an energy efficiency program that would include, incentives for them to reduce energy, and also educational opportunities, as well as other opportunities to become more energy efficient. So with that, in June of 2008, AMEREN started the Act on Energy program. We have since kind of updated our name to the AMEREN Illinois Energy Efficiency Program as of about 2 years ago. That kind of better reflects what we do as a service to AMEREN Illinois customers. So who qualifies for our programs? And this is true for if you're a ComEd customer or if you're a Nicor customer. You have to be an AMEREN Illinois electric or natural gas customer to take part in our incentives. Now, if you're just an electric customer, you can only get an electric incentives. If you're only a gas customer, you can only get gas incentives. We get our money by a rider charge that is on your AMEREN bill. So the next time you get your AMEREN bill, look on there for either a EDR or a GDR rating, and you'll notice next to that rating, you'll notice how much you're paying into the program each month. So again, what we do is we collect all that money, and then we give it back out to customers to help them become more energy efficient. One other area I should bring up is, due to deregulation a few years ago, you can buy your electricity or natural gas from a third-party supplier as long as AMEREN is delivering that utility to your business or even your home. You qualify for our incentives. AMEREN no longer sells or produces electricity, so you can shop around and buy electricity, and natural gas is now a commodity, so you can shop prices around. But as long as you're getting that AMEREN bill and AMEREN is delivering that utility to your business, you qualify for incentives. You'll see also it says commercial businesses, nonprofits, private and public schools, government buildings, large assemblies, such as museums and civic center. Again, if you're an AMEREN Illinois customer, you qualify for our incentives. The public sector, government buildings, that's something new to our program as of June 1st last year. Again, the state did some different legislation, and we now offer our incentives to those folks, whereas before they had to go through the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. So if we could toot our own horn here for a second, since 2008, we've helped our residential and non-residential customers save over $850 million in energy savings, and that's equivalent to removing 15 billion CO2 parts from the atmosphere, and it's equivalent to removing 1.4 million cars from the road each year. So let's look real quickly into our incentives. You'll see program year. We work off a program year, and that program year goes from June 1 through December 31st. Before it would go, January 1st through December 31st. Before it went June 1st to May 31st. But now we go off of a calendar year. And what you need to know that for is that with each program year, our incentives do change. Some increase, some are lowered. Different pieces of equipment are incentivized. But that's something you can always, getting back to Chad, ATQ, DTM, if you have a question, just please ask us. We're happy to help you. We have two types of incentives. We have a standard or prescriptive. There's a predetermined amount, and then we have a custom incentive, and that's basically something that doesn't fall nice and neat into the categories that you see up in the graphics there on the right-hand side. Basically, what we're looking for is watts and therm reduction. That's what we base our incentives on. Also, I should mention that our incentives, is an actual check that we will give you. It's not a discount on your AMEREN bill. It's not going to lower what you're going to pay per kilowatt hour, but it's an actual check that we will give you to help cover a portion of that cost of that energy efficiency project. Chad did talk about an application process. There is an application that we have you fill out and submit to us, and we have engineers on staff who review applications and work with you to make sure that whatever you're trying to do does work. We have had to deny some applications, so my best suggestion to you is obviously call and ask us, but submit an application, and we're happy to work you through that process. We can't fill out the application for you, but we can at least help you along the way. Other things to keep in mind is we do have a pre-approval process. If your incentive is under $10,000, you don't need pre-approval. If it's over $10,000, or it's a custom project, or it's a commissioning, a new construction, those all need pre-approval from us. And that also means you cannot have purchased any equipment, cut any POs for pre-approval. Again, I highly encourage you that if you're thinking about doing an energy efficiency upgrade or project at your facilities, before you do anything else, please contact us, and we can match you up with an energy advisor or ask any questions you might have, and really help you get down that right path so that we can get you the incentive that we hope you can get. One other thing we're doing right now is we're doing an incentive bonus. So if you complete a project and submit your paperwork by March 31st, we'll give you 15% on top of our already set incentives. And as you can see, it's kind of tiered down, where by June 30th, that goes to 10%, September 30th by 5%. Again, if you want any more information about this, feel free to, again, contact us or go to AMERENIllinoisSavings.com/bonus for details. The new program we started not too long ago is our instant incentive offering. What's great about this is if you're doing a large lighting project within your facilities or a customer's facility, you can purchase LED light bulbs and tube lamps for up to almost 80% off retail price. We have a list of distributors on our website that you can choose from one of them. You'll have to call them to get an estimate, because the incentives will remain the same, but the estimate might differ just because of their costs. But what's great about this is there's no application or forms to fill out. The incentive is factored in right at your point of purchase. You do have to be a non-residential AMEREN, Illinois electric customer to take part in instant incentives. There's no purchase limits. And again, I mentioned up to 80% off retail pricing. So if you're looking to upgrade your lighting in your facilities, this is a great opportunity to do that at a deep discounted price, and especially if you have maintenance staff who are going to be installing these lights for you. Again, the savings are huge, not only in the cost of the tubes and lamps, but also the maintenance costs as well. We have an online store. Again, you have to be an AMEREN, Illinois electric non-residential customer. With the online store, it's more for smaller purchases. There are some limits. We do have some LED lighting, some LED exit signs, some occupancy sensors. So if you're looking for smaller quantities, maybe just for an office or for a small area, the online store is a great place to look for discounts on lighting. And again, no application process, incentives are already factored in. Some real quick resources. Again, our website, AMERENIllinoisSavings.com. There you're going to find the most up-to-date information about our program and incentives. You'll find the applications, application guides. Excuse me. You also see videos and case studies. Chad was talking about a couple of case studies earlier. You can check those out on the website. There's program contact information if you need to get a hold of us. You can either email us or call us, and we'll be happy to put you in contact with the right person you need to talk to. We offer a monthly newsletter that you can sign up, and that monthly newsletter contains articles not just on our program, but on energy efficiency topics from all over the world. So if you're looking to kind of keep up to date on energy efficiency, again, it's a monthly newsletter. There's maybe 4, at the most 5, very brief articles check that out sometime and have that delivered to your inbox. Chad also mentioned about some of our education and training. We have a Power Lunch series on the second Wednesday of each month. As you can see coming up here in March, on March 14th, we have no-cost energy assessments for small to medium manufacturing facilities, and that's going to be put on by the United States Department of Energy. So if you're, again, looking to learn more about energy efficiency, check out the Power Lunch. There's no cost. It's a half hour. You log in. We provide you with the PowerPoint afterwards. You can have, it's interactive. You can ask questions. We also record all of our Power Lunches. So if you want to go back and watch and listen to one we did last month or 3 months ago, you're more than welcome to. Chad also talked about the CEM training, building and the BOC training. Those are third-party trainings. AMEREN merely partners with organizations to run those. But again, if you're interested, we'd be happy to send you the information and talk to our education training coordinator to get you signed up for those. Again, AMERENLASavings.com/education for more information. I believe also Chad mentioned Program Allies. Program Allies are contractors who have registered and received training from AMEREN, Illinois. So they'll be very familiar with our application process. They're very familiar with the incentives that we're offering, what equipment applies. If you're working with a contractor doing a project at your facilities, ask them if they are a program ally of the AMEREN Illinois Energy Efficiency Program, and if they are, kind of rely on them to help you with the process to help you get your incentive. Now, if we do have some contractors out there that are not program allies, have them contact us and we can get them set up. It's an easy process, takes not even a half hour. It's just a quick webinar training, and then they have access to the information that they'll need to get the incentives out to their customers. If you're looking for a program ally, you can go to the website, AMERENLASavings.com, click on Find a Contractor. There you'll see a list of our program allies that you can contact. You can sort them by what type of project you're looking to do, the area you live in. You'll also see some green leads next to their names. What that means is that it'll show how much energy savings they have done with the help of our program over the years they've been program allies. So that's kind of the end of our presentation. We'd like to open it up to some questions. I know one of the big questions looking through the question and answer or the survey that we sent out was on solar and wind. We do not provide incentives for any renewables at this time. So maybe someday, but as of right now, we do not. There is a program that AMEREN can buy electricity back from a business or homeowner that's generating their own electricity through solar or wind. That's over my head. So if that's something you're interested, feel free to contact me, and I can put you in contact with that department about that. So with that, I think we'll turn it over and to Ariana, and I think we'll answer some questions, hopefully.
All right, so I will give you guys maybe a minute or so to type in some questions here. All right, let's start reading some. So, have you ever contemplated incentives for reducing building plug load consumption?
I'd say the simple answer is probably no. But I think that we have a metering and monitoring application. I think that's like technology that's advancing, rapidly. And I think, as far as being able to schedule some of that, I think is maybe where that's headed. I don't know if that actually answers the question or not, but that's typically not what we're after. We're usually after equipment or something. I would also add, though, we do have a bending miser as one of our incentives. So like for a beverage machine, we do have a bending miser that will control the lights, much like you see in a grocery store or something. And it also limits the the daily runtime on the compressor. It's designed not to harm the compressor or interrupt the compressor on a refrigerated beverage machine. But that would be one specific area I think that we target for a plug load. It's a good incentive too. It's a $150 incentive, and I think the last I saw someone had quoted that Beverage Miser plug device at like $180, so it actually cost you $30 in the end after the incentive.
One other question I thought I would answer too from our survey was there was a lot of questions about incentives for homeowners, and I know I touched on that a little bit earlier, but yes, there are incentives for homeowners. You can go to the website, AMERENIllinoisSavings.com, and click on For My Home. We have some income level programs that folks can apply for. We have some incentives for upgrading air conditioners and furnaces. What we usually call the low-hanging fruit and really the best opportunity for a homeowner to reduce their energy use is through lighting. So if you go to any of the big box stores, like your Lowe's, Menards, Home Depot, or even at Ace Hardware, go to their lighting section and you'll see stickers near some of the LEDs, and that will have Ameren Illinois Energy Savings, or just say Ameren Illinois. Those light bulbs are incentivized by our program, so you pick up as many as you'd like, and you go up to the register, and the incentive is already factored into the cost, so there's no paperwork involved.
Okay, we've got a bit of a long one. Okay. What percentage or volume of AMEREN customers or stakeholders have expectations or demands for AMEREN to show a priority or commitment to environmental and sustainability matters? While the recent years of low natural gas prices have been great for the end user, it's not so great for greenhouse gas emissions. Have there been any efforts made to address such issues or to create a greater awareness of the benefits of electricity over natural gas? Do cost savings and CSR stewardship go hand in hand?
I guess we're struggling with, I guess, what would it, I'm not sure exactly what they're asking. I mean, if I can remember from the beginning, asking how many customers have taken part. Is that what the?
Yeah, let me read it in parts. Sorry. Okay. What percentage or volume of AMEREN customers or stakeholders have expectations or demands for AMEREN to show priority commitment to environmental and sustainability matters?
I don't know if we have a percentage or a number. You know, AMEREN wants to be good stewards of the community. They're trying to reduce energy so it's not so much a strain on the grid. I know they're looking to install smart meters to better handle outages and pinpoint outages. Sorry, I'm a little bit lost on how to answer that question.
We can move on.
Okay, thanks. But I would say too, I think that, if that person, if you know who that person is, if they're willing to share their email address or something like that, we could probably research that some more. Because I think it's a very good question. I think at a level where we're just not. We try to help people do projects and bring in savings, and not so much the level of that question. But I think that we can get an appropriate answer.
Yeah, Ariana, if you want to email us the question and the person who asked it, and we can follow up with them.
That sounds great. Okay, so I have another one. Okay. Vendors of variable frequency motors will do incentive forms for you. Does it pay to shop around as to who does the form verification matter?
What was the last part of that? The form?
Does it pay to shop around as to who does the form verification?
Well, so I would say, so the incentive, regardless of who does the application and whether that's a customer, you do it yourself, or a vendor or anything like that, the incentive is $115 per horsepower for a VFD, as long as it meets the eligibility requirements, and that's on an HVAC system or a process VFD on a pump or a fan. And so I would say, yeah, to shop around based on the price or something of that nature. But as from an incentive standpoint, you know, the incentive is the same, and a VFC application is not that terribly complicated. And I think anybody, you know, if you were trying to save some money, or if there was somebody's going to charge you to do it, you know, that would be, I would shop around, I guess.
All right, and we have one more. Can anyone attend the Power Lunch webinar, and how does one register?
Yes, anyone can attend the Power Lunch webinar. They just go to AMERENIllinoisSavings.com, click on Education and Training, and then you will see a link there or some information about Power Lunch. Then there'll be a link that you click, and you put in your name, your email address, and maybe a phone number, and it's as easy as that. We'll send you a calendar reminder, and then on that day, all the information will be on the email. You just, much like you do with this webinar, you click on the link, it takes you to it, and you can either call in or listen through your computer. So, yeah, anyone, you don't have to be an AMEREN Illinois customer to listen to a webinar or take part in like the CEM training or a BOC training. You don't have to be an AMEREN Illinois customer. Chad mentioned the business symposium that we're having in October. You do have to be an AMEREN Illinois customer to attend that. So.
But you can attend on behalf of your firm if you represent an engineering firm or something that's a customer or something of that nature.
Right. And that is a business symposium. It's not for homeowners.
All right. So I think that's all the questions we have for now. If anyone has any further questions, feel free to email either Chad or John, or send me an email and I can get a hold of them. I just want to thank everyone for coming out today. AMEREN, I want to thank you guys. So yeah, that's all. If anyone else has anything else.
I would just say thanks again for letting us speak to you. And if you're ever out at a lunch and learn, or you're out somewhere at an AMEREN event or something, and you see one of us or something, and you come up and say something and say, hey, I heard you on the webinar, and we can talk about the webinar and that sort of thing. So if you see us out, please introduce yourself and let us know you're out there.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.